In the glory of your presence.
This video is not about me. I made this video for two reasons. The first reason is because the pastor of the church I attend challenged the entire congregation to document and share acts of love for the entire month of February. The second reason is to show people that each of us has the power to impact, improve, and change the course of someone's life with just one encounter. For the past 10 years, acts of love have been a big part of my life. One of my favorite ways to show God's love is to acquire essential items and walk the streets of the city handing them out. That is what I decided to do on this particular day. After I had walked for about a mile, a group of women pulled up, assuming that I was homeless. They gave me a pamphlet about disease prevention. I told them I wasn't homeless, that I was simply sharing God's love. I told them God loved them, I invited them to church, and gave them gift cards to a local restaurant. I continued to walk and talk to people on the street. I walked back to my vehicle and drove around until I found a large group of men that appeared to be homeless. I pulled over and offered them items that I had. I told them God loved them. We hugged, we talked briefly. They selflessly shared items with one another, and then I continued on my journey. Shortly thereafter, I ran into a man selling hygiene items in movies. I told him to keep his items, that God loved him. I gave him a hug and a small token of love. I then sat at a bus stop. A young man walked up to me and asked, how did my life get to the point that I was on the street with a sign about God's love? I told him that I was not homeless, that in fact, I was just sitting there waiting to pay everybody's bus fare. He was moved and continued to ask me questions. I offered him a ride to his destination. We talked for about an hour, and then he gave his life to Christ as we prayed together. I went home and changed my clothes and then headed to the hospital to visit a man who had been in the hospital for almost 40 days. He had prayed with me and given his life to Christ 2 weeks prior, when he was barely able to talk and was close to death. As I talked to him and his doctors, they gave me a good report that all his tests were looking far better.